The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Hello, Andy, and everybody else. I'm so excited for today.
Me too. I'm excited as well. Today is Wednesday. What we do on Wednesday is we bring you another installment of Project Melway, brought to you by the Gibsonian
Institute.
Yes. Why don't you tell people out there in Second Breakfast Nation what that is, Phil?
The Gibsonian Institute, a shadowy cabal of interested foreigners who have commissioned Andy and I to watch every single Mel Gibson film in chronological order, and so we have. For what is our price? What is our price? Doesn't matter. They're just making us do it. We're not getting a thing out of it.
That's
it's
right.
just for our own good. It's for our own good.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, the further along we get, the more Kool-Aid I drink. I am so in on this now. I mean, it is.
Oh, sure. Yeah, me too.
Granted, we only have like 7 movies left, but
That's
I
true.
just am feeling it, man.
I'm glad. That's fantastic.
Today, the film was a movie called Signs. Let me tell you a couple things about Signs.
By M. Night Shyamalan. Please, go for it.
M. Night Shyamalan's biggest, I think it's his biggest film of all time.
I think so.
Although Sixth Sense might have been bigger. It's Mel Gibson's highest grossing film. It was and I'll go ahead and say the last really good film M. Night Shyamalan made. I think Signs was really good. It gets a lot of flack these days. Like, there's a lot of retroactive criticism of this film.
Yes.
And
all I know is it scared me.
It scared me. If it scared you, you know it scared me.
Hey, there were moments that scared me. Absolutely. No question.
It terrified my wife, even though she'd seen it before.
Sixth Sense did make more money.
Okay. But Signs is a big darn hit.
There you go. Absolutely.
And it's definitely Mel Gibson's highest grossing film. M. Night Shyamalan made the point of not allowing on any of the posters to advertise Mel Gibson's face, and also did not allow on any of the posters of the previews from the maker of The Sixth Sense. Because he did not want people to automatically associate it with that film, and he did not want people to think that it was a Mel Gibson vehicle. It was his flick, and that being said, we're not doing a Project Shyamalan. We are doing Project Melway.
It's true.
And we are going to talk about Mel Gibson today, my friend.
Yes.
First of all, Andy.
Yeah.
Let's just get this out of the way. As far as male crying is concerned, has there ever been a Mel Gibson cry like the Signs Mel Gibson cry? Oh my gosh!
Now, which one? Which one?
First of all, exactly.
Fair.
Just first of all, it was. Andy and I have talked about this before, but I got to tell you, there's nothing like Mel Gibson crying. And one of the things about it is it can be any kind. What kind of cry do you want? He's like the Baskin Robbins of crying.
Yes.
He's got 31 flavors of tears, and all of them are distinct.
The Eskimos have a zillion different words for snow. He has a zillion different cries for every situation. It's true. It's true.
But unlike the Eskimos, every one of us can tell the difference between his cries. And the sullen eating of the last meal that turns into the sob.
Oh, yes, talking to the guy who killed his wife.
Oh,
and like trying to get to like a place of forgiveness, and like succeeding and failing in like adjacent instance.
Yeah, like you're right.
Yes.
It's a phenomenal performance from MG, and that the crying really takes it to the next level. I got to tell you, but that scene, and the thing about that scene is, there's a moment when it gets a little ugly when he's taking the kid's food, and it borders on, it might actually already be, it's a little cheesy, but it's like Mel Gibson was headed into Velveeta territory, and he was like, no, I don't do Velveeta, and he turned that to Brie. That's what it was like. He was like, no, this isn't Velveeta. Now, this is Humboldt Fog. Watch me work my business.
Nice.
It was glorious.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
For those who haven't seen it, here's the plot of Signs. A family living out in a farmhouse. It's their experience, their intimate experience with the nearest portion of an alien invasion. The only other important things to know: the mother and wife of the family has recently died, and the father, played by Mr. Mel Gibson, is when his wife died, he left the church. He was an Episcopal priest.
Yeah, which for me is a blast. I've only seen this movie once before, and it was in the theaters, and it was before I was an Episcopalian.
Nice.
Yeah, so this was a very meta, this was an experience for me to watch Mel Gibson playing an Episcopal priest.
All I'm going to say
very
is,
exciting.
Phil, if aliens come down, swing away.
Swing away.
Yeah.
I mean, I will. I won't get all angry with God the way he did. Whatever. No, so many things. What I realized watching it this time, and clearly I'm biased about the whole God thing, but when I watched it this time around, this is not a movie about aliens. This is a movie about faith.
Yes.
And I will go even further. The aliens are the MacGuffin in this film.
Yes.
They actually serve no function other than to push this man so we can watch someone's faith die and be reborn again. Or it's already died. It's basically the resurrection of a man's faith life. That's what this whole movie is really about.
Yes.
And the crisis of faith, what that does to a family, and what it takes to bring that family back. But that's really what it's about. And the aliens are almost... I mean, there are moments when I think this movie is a perfectly crafted film. I do. And then there's other moments when I felt like there's almost like it was like, oh, okay, you just want to talk about faith, but you had to do an alien invasion because you're M. Night Shyamalan and you had to do something.
Sure.
Like, I actually went back and forth between thinking this movie was super gimmicky and super perfect.
Can I say something that may or may not help bridge that gap?
Please.
Because I don't think it's a perfect... I don't know that I ever thought
it's not
of
a
it
perfect movie.
As a perfect movie, but I don't have the same disconnect that you do.
Sure.
I think it is absolutely a movie about faith, and
Yep.
although the main character is a man of religious faith, I think it is almost definitively not a movie about religious faith.
Agreed, completely. He happened to be religious, and that's okay. And you bringing that up is exactly when I say perfect, I don't even mean a perfect film. I actually meant a perfectly crafted film. And what I meant by that is every single thing has a purpose, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
Every shot has something in it that is meaningful to the movie. Sometimes a little overdone, but nevertheless, every detail is related. Every line has something. So if you see something, if you've never seen Signs, if you're watching it from the beginning, if you wonder, for instance, what's the girl's deal with the water? Oh, it's just a cute character quirk. There are no character quirks, and that's a part of the point of the movie. Is there are no accidents or coincidences.
Yeah.
Or the question of if there are or not, of course.
Right.
But
right.
But the movie comes down unequivocally in the there are no accidents category.
Right. Yes.
And the movie is made like that. There's not a spare stroke. Every single thing is meant. And I found that really interesting to watch. M. Night Shyamalan, when he's good, is really fun.
I agree with you.
He's a very inventive thinker.
I agree with you.
And he's not afraid of large, and I mean, it's called signs. He's not afraid of using signs. He's not afraid of using symbolism. He's not afraid of broad strokes. And really, he had the opportunity, which he has completely lost, but he had the opportunity in many ways to be the heir to Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
Because he tries to make similar feeling films.
Yes, neither of them are afraid, for good or ill, neither of them are afraid about making myths. You know?
That's right.
Yes.
Yep. And scary in a safe way.
Yes.
He even skews a little darker. He skews a little darker than Spielberg, for sure.
I agree with that.
But he had that potential. I think it's gone. I have no ill will towards the man, but he's done. I mean, it seems like he's done.
Yeah, After Earth, even though that was even if it had been, I don't actually remember. Even if it was marketed, even if it were marketed as an M Night Shyamalan movie, everyone knows that everybody knows that's a Will and Jaden Smith movie.
Yep.
So,
but even that, he didn't write it. He just directed it. This is the first movie in his filmography that he wasn't the writer, director, producer of.
Ugh. I feel honestly, I feel bad for him for all the things you just said. I mean, it's not like he didn't do it to himself, but
right.
But
so he is an enigmatic character. Him and Mel Gibson, together are obviously an interesting pair. Right. And I will say that Shyamalan gets some flack for being in his own movies. I thought he did a fine job in this movie. I thought he was fine.
Yes.
You know?
This was.
I thought he held his own in the scene with Gibson. I thought it worked fine.
Yeah, if I remember correct, this might be until Lady in the Water. I think this might be his most important role, even though it is certainly not one of his biggest. He plays the guy that is responsible for Mel Gibson's wife's death.
Yeah.
And even in that scene, it is just fraught with, like, the point of the scene is, like, if literally every single thing didn't happen the way it did, like, we wouldn't be having this conversation because your wife would still be alive.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Totally.
Yep. And this is a movie where for the first 45 minutes you're not actually sure it is an alien movie.
That's right.
And it's just playing off of really suspense and horror tropes. I mean, the cornfields.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And something going bump in the night and you seeing something out of the corner of your eye. I mean, all that stuff. It's yeah. But it is an alien movie. In fact, we're going to spoil that. It is an alien movie. There are aliens. And yeah, what do you want to say about this movie? I mean, I've got so many things I could say, but what do you want to say?
Sure. Well, the acting is fantastic. The acting is fantastic right down the line.
Abigail Breslin has been a
role.
great actor since she was 5.
I know, right?
She's stellar in this movie.
Yes. Where she's like, this is serious. And I was like, oh, I see how you got from right there to Little Miss Sunshine and beyond. Yes.
Yep.
Joaquin Phoenix, obviously, he's just great. This is one of his more normal characters, and I apologize for the baseball pun since the character used to be a minor league ball player. He hits it out of the park. He does. He's
507 feet to be exact.
That's right. Well done. Let's see. Kieran Culkin. Is it Kieran or
no? It's Rory Culkin.
Rory Culkin. Great.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Very good. Yeah. Everybody in this movie.
And the last person I'll mention is someone that I want to point out because she's starting to get recognized a little bit, and it's not going to be enough. Cherry Jones as the sheriff or the deputy. I don't know if she is a sheriff, but she is the law enforcement officer that the family deals with on several occasions throughout the movie, and she is just wonderful.
She's the president of the United States for at least one, if not 2 seasons of 24.
That's right. She's just
and she has the distinction of not being as bad as the president before her, who was a murderer.
That's right.
That's right. But she does a lovely job in this movie.
Yes, absolutely.
That scene with her talking to Mel Gibson at the crash site, where she's like preparing him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the last time I talk to my wife?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she just tells him, "Yeah, this is it."
Yeah.
Actually, she even says, she says like, "This is the last time," or something like that. The other thing, I was really impressed if you watch the very first shot or the very first scene of the film. You see a picture of him with his family, and he's wearing his collar, so you immediately know that he's a religious person.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sits up in bed, and he's by himself in bed, and he's in the center of the bed, so you know that his wife is gone.
Right.
And then he gets up, and you see the cross removed. You see a place where the cross used to be on the wall, and it's gone, which is a little heavy-handed, but that was to me like if you wanted to show high schoolers, like, how do you tell a story with no words?
Right.
How do you tell a story with no words, right? Like, this, in the first 15 seconds, you know he's religious, he's lost his wife, he's lost his faith.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's a really cool, like, that's good storytelling. It's good storytelling.
Yes.
And there's a
Yes.
lot of that in this film.
One thing that I want to say going off of that, and it's one of the last things I actually have to say about this movie. To see this movie, it's just a lot of fun. I thought that was interesting, and I don't know if it's anything more than interesting. I don't think it is, but it's interesting enough for me to say it. Most often, science fiction in general, and specifically alien movies, if they deal with religion at all, they lead people away from religion. And this movie, again, I think it's about faith in general. I don't think it's about religious faith, but because this character is a religious man, this is a movie that shows an alien invasion leading someone back to faith. And I thought that was a really interesting sort of twist on the trope.
And you're right, and the denouement is that he comes back to his faith. It's not even like he has to. Well, no, I mean, he does have to believe for it. I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is, like, there's not this moment where he's like, okay, I believe.
Totally. Yes.
There kind of is, but like not really. It's that, even like you said, it's the reinvestment of faith, but you don't know what that's going to mean or what that's going to mean for him or his family. And again, one single shot at the end of the movie, and you know what it means.
Yes.
And I think it's really special in that way, like you said. And obviously, as someone who is religious, and my journey in faith took me back into organized religion. It's nice to see us not the devil.
Sure.
Like, it's nice. I mean, it's unfortunate that the people the anti-religion folks get Stephen King and we get M. Night Shyamalan. But okay, you take what you can get. What you can get. And I mean, like, after movies like The Mist, where the religious people are just the devil, and pretty much every Tim Burton movie where religious people are terrible. It is nice to have a movie that just recognizes the very simple picture of, it's just a very simple American picture.
Agreed.
Of faith, and I appreciated that. The other thing I want to say about this movie is it seems, from the posters, from the way it was advertised, and from the fact that it is a full-scale alien invasion on the world, this movie manages to feel huge, but it's tiny.
Yeah.
It is a very intimate film. It almost never leaves the house.
Yeah.
It's almost a haunted house movie.
Yeah. The couple. That's right. That's really well said. The couple times they leave the house, it's almost jarring, and I think that's intentional, but like, it's jarring, And I think so. We're full on spoilers here, right? At this point, I think the other thing that's there's an inventive thing that they do, which is the idea. First of all, I remember someone always saying, like, "Oh, great, the aliens' water kills them. Way to come to Earth." Right.
But what I found interesting, that's a good critique, except that M. Night Shyamalan, he makes the point of saying, or we find out, they didn't come to Earth to take over Earth. They came to Earth to raid us, to steal humans, for whatever reason, we don't know.
That's right.
It's not the same as them, like, it's not the same plot as, like, they give you this idea that they've exhausted their resources, they're going to come conquer Earth.
It's like, it's not Independence Day. It's not Independence Day.
Right. They're not destroying or conquering Earth, they're just stealing our people.
Right.
Which, in and of itself, that's even got a smaller level to it.
Right. Yes.
But, it's a really well-made movie. That scene with Joaquin Phoenix watching TV in the closet, and the whole homemade video of the first glimpse you really get, where you know for a fact 100% that it's an alien, even though you mostly knew before. Yes. Now you really know.
Yes.
Oh man.
That scene actually, and this is literally the last thing I want to say about this movie, although we can continue talking about it if you want. The way in which, it is not the scariest movie I've ever seen, but the way in which the scares are structured is, it is of the flavor of scary movie that is my favorite. In other words, it's... it's coming. It's coming. Right. It's mostly mood, and then it's punctuated by boo scares. Because if you just have boo scares, you get things like Hostel or the Dawn of the Dead remake. Right. And if you get just moody, I mean, you end up with something... I mean, the only movie I could come up with that was like close to a horror movie was 12 Monkeys, which basically my point is it's not even really a horror movie at that point. Right. And yet, like Recordar, the Spanish zombie movie I had you watch for horror school, like people think about it and they think of the boo scares, but it is a really moody movie. You know, and,
you're right.
and that's what this movie does, I think, really well. If nothing, and it sounds like a small thing, it's not though, because they really managed to, like M. Night really manages to structure it really well, which goes back to what you were saying, right? It is, if it's not a perfectly crafted movie, it's awfully close.
Yeah, it really. When you watch this movie and you watch Sixth Sense and you watch Unbreakable, it's like, what happened to this guy?
Right? Unbreakable, man.
And,
you know this. That's my favorite movie of his, and I think it's just a masterpiece.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I'd like to see it again. I would add to that. I really, it goes. You know what's really funny is M. Night Shyamalan's a guy whose career has fallen apart because his talent has fallen apart.
Yeah.
On the other hand. And this is, I think, Mel Gibson's last... Well, no, he was in Singing Detective. And then that's his last appearance in a movie for, like, 4 years or 5 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the next movies after that we're watching are the ones he directed.
Yep. And
then we all know he goes totally off the rails, emotionally and personally. But what we see here is Mel's career has fallen apart because of his own personal life.
Yeah.
He has clearly... He is, and I know I'm bordering on like adoration here. I know it. I get it. He is just at the top of his game.
Yes, he has lost nothing.
Stellar in this film.
Yes, he is.
Stellar.
Yes, he is.
And I mean, in the last movie, We Were Soldiers, I thought he was great in. Mm-hmm. I just think Mel Gibson is an actor who. It's never been a question that he was a star. And when our first 5 or 6 movies watching him, we were like, what a star.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I think Mel Gibson... Okay, oh my gosh, okay. Al Pacino is an actor who became a star.
Yep.
And De Niro, dear God, it hurts to say it, is an actor who became a star. And Mel Gibson's a star who became an actor.
I agree with that. That's really well said.
And it's really interesting to see it. And I think, of course, then there's Jack Nicholson, and he has managed to be both at all times. And that's why he's the king. That's all.
I find no fault with that statement.
Yeah. So Signs. Signs. Yeah. My wife, I got to tell you, she'd seen it before several times. I'd only seen it once, and she knew what was coming, and it did that thing where she was like, I know it's coming, and it still freaked her out.
Sure.
So
it is a freaky movie.
And they make that sound the way that aliens.
Absolutely terrifying.
Well, the best part is, so then the movie was over, and she was kind of freaked out, and I was like walking behind her, going. She was like, "Okay, stop, just don't, no, just stop."
Wow. You are not a good person.
No, I'm not a good person at all. I think that's all I want to say about Signs. So the next 3 weeks are special.
Yes, you said it. Actually, there's something. So next week is The Singing Detective, and then after that is The Passion of the Christ, and then after that is Apocalypto. Those last two obviously are special because he directed them and is not in them.
Yep.
And The Singing Detective, I think, is special because it's one of the first movies where he's legitimately a supporting role.
Yeah. This and $1 Million Hotel, which was awful.
Yes.
I think are the only movies since Road Warrior.
Yes. And
or
even
Mad
before
Max,
that,
since
he
Mad
wasn't...
Max, since Mad Max.
Yeah, even before... I mean, Summer City, his very first one, he was, a supporting character.
And then Attack Force Z, he's not the star, but he had already made it by the time Mad Max came out.
Right, and then, but even like Tim, he was remember Tim? Yeah, he was the star of that movie. You know what I mean? He's been.
I've been thinking a lot, Andy. I've been thinking a lot about who we're gonna watch after Mel Gibson, after Project Melway's over, and what I find singular about him as an actor is that he's been a star his entire career.
Yes,
and he hasn't made a ton of movies. I mean, he's made 50, but that's like 2 a year for 25 years rather than you look at we're not doing Christopher Walkway, we'd be here for 20 years. The man's made like 150 movies. And so, like, you know, who are we going to do? How's this going to work? And part of it has to be like, who is, okay, so I want to say this I want to start, Second Breakfast Nation, before we go today, I want to say this. We are wrapping up Project Melway in the next couple of months. With by the way, his newest film, Machete Kills, which will come out almost perfectly in the timeline. And when this is over, we are going to hopefully pick another person to follow. Doesn't have to be an actor. It could be a director or producer, or screenwriter or whatever. But we have thought in terms of acting, and we have thought in terms of an actress. I defy you. I challenge you. Challenge to name a female actor who's had a career that is like Mel Gibson's. I don't mean that is better than. I mean that is like Mel Gibson's.
Right. The arc is the same.
Find an arc like Mel Gibson's, male or female. I'll even say male or female. Tell me what you got.
Right.
Because it's going to be really interesting how we try to follow up Project Melway.
The only person who springs to mind immediately is Tom Cruise.
Interesting. Another person with a lot of personal interest.
Yes.
Personal stuff.
Yes.
I'm not ready for the highway to the cruise danger zone. I'm not ready for that. The cruise way to the danger zone. I'm not ready for it.
Neither am I.
Okay.
No fear about, being forced to watch Legend or something in the future. Well,
some people love that movie. Some people love that movie.
I don't hate it.
I'm not some people, no. I saw it in the theater, so I was like, 7? And I was just like, what? I don't... What?
All right.
Well, anyways.
That will do it for Signs, this installment of Project Melway, brought to you by the Gibsonian Institute. Again, next 3 weeks, Singing Detective, Passion of the Christ, and Apocalypto. 2 of those 3 movies I have never seen. I'm excited to see them. And that'll do it for this episode of Second Breakfast. I'm Andy Roth, and that's Phil Duvall. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
The most important meal of